phone says that it's 7 o'clock, everyone. We're gonna put this meeting to order. Hello, my cell phone says it's 7 o'clock. We're gonna call this meeting to order. And the first item is call to order and roll call. So the record will show that all 6 members of the Board of Finance are here. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. The first one is regular monthly meeting 2/16/23. I noticed when I clicked on the attachment, you may have noticed this. It was from 2/17/22.
Wrong date.
Pretty close, pretty close. Yeah, that's okay. We can just put off
Wrong
until
year.
next time. It was just about the right day, but
yeah.
yeah, it was 1 year. 1 year. But you know, it's 1 year. We can just, we'll get at the next meeting.
The minutes are correct on the town website.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So we'll move on to the second set of minutes. Those did appear to be the correct date. That was budget presentation, March 2, 2023. Does somebody want to make a motion to accept those minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so Steve's got the
Second.
motion and Larry's got the second. Any changes to those minutes? Any changes? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the March 2nd, 2023 budget presentation minutes as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? All right, this one carries 6-0. So we move on to correspondence. We got something from the tax collector. And then we got something in the Board of Finance submission portal, but it was actually more appropriately destined for the Director of Economic Development. If I don't know if anyone happened to see that. Did you see that one? Maybe it goes to me and to the finance director. So what happens is when somebody writes into the Board of Finance portal, it goes to, I think, to Dottie and me and finance director, and then Dottie sent it out to economic development because it was more appropriate. It was something like, what kinds of incentives are there for starting a business in town?
Right.
And so she responded to the person and said,
I did not see that.
any other correspondence that is not being recorded here? All right. Citizens' comments. And the way we do it during budget season is we keep it to 3 minutes per person maximum. And it's just because we've obviously got a lot of work in front of us. And so we just try to make sure that when citizens share their comments, they just keep it to the point and succinct. Are there any citizens here? Any citizens have a comment at this time? Any citizens? And for the record, could you please state your name and address?
Mr. Chairman, I am Francis McGarry. I reside at 225 Chase Road. And I am a registrar of voters in the town of Thompson. I am here tonight to give you some background information on the increase in the elections and registration budget for the coming year. Connecticut state statute requires 6 election workers at each polling station. In Thompson, we have used 4 to save money. However, after the last municipal election, 2021, a complaint was filed with the State Election Enforcement Commission, and that complaint included a charge that there were not enough election workers at the polling places. The commission agreed. We were in violation of state statute. So the commission has advised the registrars that in the future, the full 6-person complement must be used. Now an increase from 4 people to 6 is a 50% increase across 4 polling places. And you see the effect of that increase in our budget request. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Okay. Any other citizens' comments at this time? Any other citizen have a comment at this time? Citizens' comment. Is there any citizen on the Zoom who has a comment? Any citizens' comments from people who are joining us by Zoom? Okay, last chance in person, last chance by Zoom. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to budget workshop. And I know in the past when we used to have the books that looked like this, the bound books. In the beginning, they would start with revenue, then they would move into expenses. And I spoke with the finance director today, and he was talking about some great work that he's done on the expense side. And I said, okay, so when we start on the revenue side, doesn't take long. We just go through and he said, oh, I don't have a detailed examination on the revenue side. I was focused so much on the expense side. I can put something together for you really quick. And I said, you know what, just, we'll do it next week. Take your time, put together something that's really well done, like this is really well done. Because like I said, we typically go through it pretty quickly anyways. We don't tend to spend a lot of time. And so what we'll do is we can just, in the past, we've typically just taken it from the top, go down department by department, and we could do that this evening. Go ahead, Dave.
Now, just a few comments relative to the procedure. Looking over the budget this particular week and the various categories, they're very complex, number one. There are a lot of priorities, whether you're talking the education budget, the town budget, and capital budget. There are two things I'm concerned about. One, I think before we start nitpicking with the town budget, that we should have some idea of what we feel is a reasonable amount to submit to the public, whether it's 4 mills or whether it's 1 mill. I think that would give us an indication as to just what we have to do as we go through the budget. The second comment I have relates to a citizen comment earlier, not tonight, but at an earlier meeting, criticizing us, particularly with regard to the education budget, for not identifying those areas which we feel should be changed. That's an exercise in futility, as the state law in the state of Connecticut gives complete powers to the Board of Education to decide their priorities and how they spend their money. So no matter what we say at this table is irrelevant. So I go back to the procedure which has been practiced for probably the last 40 years. And that is that we decide in terms of the education budget, what we feel is an appropriate amount of money. Secondly, with regard to the town government and the capital, and I've gone over these quite carefully. Amy has been nice enough to give me some numbers. I tend to feel the same way. There are a lot of priorities here that the Board of Selectmen have. Some are new, some we may or may not agree with. But I would like to give the Board of Selectmen the same opportunity to review their budget and have this board give them a number to look at, whether it be general government or capital. For example, in capital, you can look at the truck and the payloader, which come in for somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000. If we went to a lease purchase agreement, we could reduce that significantly, probably to 100,000, which if they're not ordered until after July 1st would not hit this budget at all. But we still would be providing them for the community and the highway department. So there are a number of factors which are going to enter in. And I really think we should take a close look at what we feel is a reasonable mill rate for the people of this town who avoid going through 1, 2, 3, how many referendums. I would hope that we could do it in 1, possibly at most 2. Now that we've raised the amount of election workers. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you. Dave, I do recall when you were chair, we would sit down at the first meeting, and it was your tradition that you would look around the table and you'd say, if anyone has any thoughts about what your target mill rate might be coming out of the end of all this, go ahead and share it with the rest of the group. I do recall you doing. I'm happy to go around the table and give members of the Board of Finance an opportunity.
It's up to the members of the board. I have
That's why
no
I said
problem.
to
with
go
that.
around and give them the opportunity to do that if they want to. If they want to. That being said, is there a certain target that you might be looking for when this is all over?
I think a 1 mil increase will pass.
Okay.
Based on the presentation that we have. And the reactions that I've heard from some of the people in the community since our last meeting. That's where I am at.
I agree. It's more than we passed in the past also, but, I think in the situation we're in with everything, and just in general, everybody's personal households, everything that we all deal with on a daily basis. We all know everything's gone up. It's a significant difficulty for many. We know, we get the reports from the tax collector of who pays car taxes late and house taxes. We see the auctions that happen. I think that if we had a 4 mil increase, that Rainey would be very busy with auctions and things that we really don't want to see. Nobody wants to see ever.
Larry, any thoughts?
Not right now.
Okay. Steve, any thoughts?
Just got a couple of points. First of all, I think looking at the school budget is not useless. It is correct that the school, once they get an amount, can spend it the way they want. But it gives us the opportunity to see whether their request is justified or not. Whether we feel it's justified or not, whether there are programs that we don't feel we can fund. So looking at it and trying to understand it and seeing if we feel it's justified is in fact, I think, a very useful exercise. I think it's important to do. And just setting a number for them is not reasonable. You may have heard some people talk to you about not wanting their taxes raised. But we heard people speak at our meetings saying they want the budgets presented to the townspeople the way they've been presented to us.
At your meeting, Steve?
At Board of Finance meetings,
At Board of Finance?
yes,
Mhm. Yeah. You're
right?
Yeah.
Were you there, March 2nd?
Yes, I
A
was
number of
there.
people
Well,
spoke to
I
spoke to
question
that
your
point.
numbers, but okay.
I think it's important to find out what we need, see what that rate is, and then evaluate it. Don't determine how much you're going to budget and before you look at what's needed. That doesn't make sense to me. And in my years of doing budgets, and I've done more than anybody here, that's how you do a budget. You look at what you need. At the end of the day, you see if it's possible or not.
And I believe the Board of Education has done that.
Anything else?
I will mention one little thing about looking at the Board of Education budget. I've been to every one of their budget workshops. So I do have some understanding of what they've done, what they've gone through. So just coming in here and just saying, oh, no, I don't want to give them as much as they asked for, is not reasonable to me. I don't believe maybe you've watched it on Zoom. I don't know. On the recordings.
I don't
But-
wish to
but if-
argue
but if-
with you,
but if you-
Steve. I've been
I'm not,
through- I've
please
been-
don't interrupt me. They deserve a full hearing in front of our citizens, whether the budget they presented is appropriate. I think it is. I saw them struggle with the couple of additions they were talking about. It wasn't just, yeah, add a couple of people, we don't care. We can, we don't care how much it costs. It was struggled over at the budget meetings, at the board meetings. So they care about the budget and what it costs as much as anybody else.
All right, so tell you what, we'll continue to, you're all set.
I'm sorry, thank you.
We'll go around the table to give everybody the opportunity to weigh in on the original question, then we'll
Yeah.
come back to that.
Thank you, Grant.
Go ahead, Rob Words, if you want to share anything about your thoughts initially as to where you might want this to wind up when it's done.
I'll share a few thoughts. One, I appreciate the passion for the budgets. I think it's important that people care about what we're doing, whatever side you're on, 1 mil or 5 mil. The fact that people care about it and they're sitting at this table, they care about it is important. I have a little bit of a rough time pegging a mill rate this early. I understand the rationale to do it. And the reason I struggle with pegging it too early is I really want to hear, absorb, listen to what the needs are. It's about, I'm speaking on the town side first. Listen to what the needs are and understand what choices need to be made. And then calibrate from there, because we have deferred costs over the years, and it may be an opportunity where we may need to continue that, or we may need to say, you know what, if we continue it, it's gonna cost us even more in subsequent years because of the condition of our roads or roofs or other capital projects or ongoing expense type projects. So I'd rather go through it, and then it seemed this is my fourth cycle. Some of you have been through many, many cycles. I've been through 3. This is my 4th one. It feels like at a point after subsequent meetings, you begin to converge on kind of where we think we need to be. So that's relative to the mill rate. Relative to the BOE budget, I fully get, and I've been reminded on every budget, the 3 cycles I've been through, that we have no jurisdiction and we can't tell them what to do and where to do it. It's a little frustrating, but I understand that. But I also feel I have a really hard time cutting without knowing what that means. And there was a vote last year, I think, for just a cut and a vote, and let's move on with the BOE budget. I didn't support that. And it wasn't that I didn't support the value of the cut. I didn't support the timing of doing it without fully vetting what was happening and understanding what that impact would mean to the school system. So I think that part is helpful for me to digest the BOE budget, look at it, and if we're gonna make a cut, even though the Board of Ed could say, we don't want to cut it in that area, if it does get cut, at least we're given some recommendation or guidance or input into what we feel might be areas, albeit a couple of steps removed. We're not on the Board of Ed, we're not in the district, but that would be our viewpoint on the budgets. And then lastly, I mentioned this my 4th cycle. I've been through 3. The first one I came to was on the heels of 3 or 4 or 5 referendums. We had been through years of multiple referendums. I've been lucky to be on 3 out of 3 where it's passed on the first shot. And this is my 4th cycle. And I think we've put very lean budgets out, very minimal mill rate increases. And the voters have agreed to that. This year, to me, feels a little different. I don't want anybody to interpret that as I'm in support of a 4 or 5 mil increase. I'm in support of listening, but it feels a little different. And what I mean by feels is the voices, the feedback from the community, the referendums that just passed on improving our schools, and the general feeling that I'm hearing more of a wave of we need to put forth a budget maybe slightly different than we had in the past. That's the feeling I'm getting. We're in the first inning of probably an extra innings game.
Yes.
So I'm open to listen and change that viewpoint, but I feel like I'm sitting here and we're sitting here to represent all the townspeople. I'm not here to represent myself and my viewpoint and how I want the taxes to be or where the revenue is spent. So it's a little long-winded, Aaron, but that's kind of my viewpoint on the question on the table.
Thank you. My personal thinking is, I'm thinking not just in terms of FY 24, I'm also thinking in terms of FY 25, because I believe that referendum that put through the spending, the debt service is going to come online in FY 25, right?
If I might.
Go ahead.
If we get the HVAC grant, yes.
Yeah. So if everything goes as planned, if everything goes as was intended by town meeting and referendum, then the debt service comes online in FY 25. I believe we were anticipating it would be about 0.8 mil would be the debt service
For all 3, yeah.
for all 3. And so I know that whatever we do now is going to be whatever it is for FY 24. And then we're going to go into FY 25. And before we talk about anything else, before we talk about fuel for the vehicles or photocopy paper or anything else, we're going to be automatically the starting number is going to be 0.8 mil. So I'm thinking about what will happen to the average person's tax bill over the next 2 fiscal years. That's kind of where I'm, and what I don't want people to feel like is I'm not willing to take a look at things and compartmentalize into FY 24 and really evaluate FY 24 and its own merits. I am, but I know something is coming And I think a fair number of people in town don't realize that 0.8 mil is coming in FY 25. So that's why I'm thinking, what's gonna happen? What's gonna be the impact over the next couple of years? So for me, of course, we're never quite sure where these budgets are gonna land, right? It's a function of what the discussion is a function of what that first budget that goes out passes or not. It depends on whether or not we have 2 or 3 referendums. It's true, I have seen 5. Those are tough years. So we're never quite sure what it's gonna look like when it's all done. Personally, I would love to see less than a mil. I would love to see less than a mil because I know that right out of the gate for FY 25, before we cover anything else, it's gonna be 0.8. So then whatever we do on top of that 0.8, it's gonna be over a mil. So, 2 years in a row that are over a mil, I would prefer not to do that if possible. So that's my thinking. Dave, I offered to come back to you after we had gone around the table. If you have any thoughts that you wanted to share from that
Just one,
conversation.
and that's with regard to the Board of Education. I do not question the validity of the board and the time and effort that they've put in to this budget. I don't question it at all. I have been party of probably somewhere in the neighborhood of, I would say, 40 to 45 Board of Education budgets, whether sitting at this table or as part of the administrative staff of the Thompson school system. So I'm well aware of what goes into the Board of Education budget and the needs thereof. As an administrator in this community, I must say, I don't recall any year that we didn't take a significant cut in our budget. So I'm not being negative towards the Board of Education or the Board of Selectmen. I'm just saying we have to deal with reality. I think both boards have put in a considerable amount of time reviewing the needs of the community and of the school. But we need to be realistic, and we also have to consider the taxpayer of this community. Thank you.
Any other comments from any other members of the Board of
I
Finance?
think we need to understand something about our school and the fact that we've cut the school's budget for so many years in a row now. We are one of the 10 worst performing districts in this state. And we're not going to get better by not giving them funds to do their job. But one of the 10 worst. I looked at Clear Gov, and I still can't get into what I want to look at, but I did notice it compared the tax rate in our town to other towns. We're 23% lower than other towns. I think the two are somewhat combined. We don't fund our schools, our tax rate's a little low. But we have crappy schools. Someone mentioned this at a party meeting I was at. That Thompson's great because the tax rates are low. But if you got kids, you don't want to come here. So, I mean, if I feel passionate about it, I am. Sound passionate, I am. I've spent a lot of time listening to what the school goes through and does. And the fact that they struggle to keep the budget as low as possible. When you have the principal, the high school comes in and tells us, and it was a month or so ago, at that time, the prior year, you had 17 disciplinary days, where it basically takes them a day to take care of a problem at school, a disciplinary issue. This year, at that point in time, 42. The world changed than when I went to school, but it needs to be addressed. We need to take care of our kids. We can't be in the bottom 10 in the state. We shouldn't be about 10. That's shameful. Sorry.
Any other members of the Board of Finance have, go ahead.
Just a comment in terms of educational spending in the area. I believe up through 21 and 22, that's as far as the information I have goes. Thompson was probably spending the most per student of the 10 towns that I was looking at.
Anything else? Anyone?
Well, I'm sorry, I got to rebut that a little bit. Special ed is a big issue in our town. In the state, 16% of the kids in school require special ed. In our school district, I believe it's 23%. That makes a world of difference. And let's face it, our school has done a great job in trying to minimize those costs. The Bradley program, which means we take care of some of those children here without having to bus them anywhere. That saved us tons of money, and I give them so much credit for looking at cost reduction efforts. I really do. I mean, that they didn't have to do that. That was special. They really went more than out of their way they could have done the same old thing as we used to do kind of thing. They didn't. They fixed it. They made they have their own special program that saves our town a ton of money. Thank you.
I have one other comment.
Go ahead.
I've heard that same ratio, and I think we need to be a little careful because that's more of, while you can improve the top the numerator in terms of the total dollars, we're dividing it by less and less and less students. So as you reduce that denominator, that ratio goes up dramatically. That's a function of an aging population in Thompson. It's a function of people maybe leaving with families, maybe less people entering with families. But you know, I grew up here in a mindset that more families are a burden to the town. More children in the school system cost the town more money. We're actually on the opposite side of that equation. We have fixed costs at the school that we have to pay whether we have one student or 1,000 or 1,500. So as that denominator decreases and we have less and less students, that ratio is going to get worse and worse. And one way to fix it is to control the costs on the top. Another way to fix it is to have more students in the school system. So you divide it out among more people. But actually what I wanted to comment on Aaron, if I might, is over the last several years, the town and the school have also, I think, done a terrific job of looking at where they can share costs, looking at where they can leverage resources. And the things that have happened around the finance area, Bill, around HR, around some of the IT functions, you know, I mean, that's exactly the types of things that are going to help us keep our budgets in check and really kind of looking at that cost side and how can we share resources, leverage expertise, and do more with less. And if we're combined, you can get that full leverage versus having those two entities 100% independent. So I just wanted to call that out as well. As we go through this year, there may be additional opportunities to do that.
Good. Anything else before we step on into the first department on the expense side? Anything else?
So that we're on the same sheet of paper
Yeah. Clearly. Anything else? Okay. There's a number of these still available, right? So if people in the gallery want to follow along with what we're talking about, you're certainly welcome. There may not be enough for each one for everybody, so you might have to double up.
These are the coefficients.
Hey. Okay, general government, item 1, Board of Finance, that's us. Any questions here?
Aaron,
Go ahead.
I've been looking through positions. It seems fairly consistent that the raises being given are 3%. Is that correct? Does that include union employees? And what is the union
Yes, it
contract
does.
called for?
2.25.
2.25%? Did we renegotiate that number?
We did not renegotiate. We did this as an act of good faith. The Public Works Director had requested 3.25. After careful decision, it was a 2-to-1 vote. 2 of the selectmen, including myself and Suzanne, voted to go to 3. It was a sign of good faith because they had only received 1.75 in the last 2 years. So
I'm not arguing that. The Public Works Director is not a union employee.
right, but he advocated for his staff.
Okay, I'm just, if he requested 3.25, I have no problem giving that to him.
Because you said three, I wanted to make sure you meant
We
three
did
point two
three.
five.
Well, he asked for 3.25. We ended up settling on three.
Three for him or three for him and
Three
everybody
for
in the staff?
everybody,
So
across,
everyone,
Including union employees?
including the union employees.
That's the question I have, Steve.
so 3% across all departments or just that department?
All the, well, all departments,
All departments, all
Within the
employees,
town
whether
hall.
unionized or not.
Correct.
On the government side,
correct,
3% for everybody.
Mhm.
correct.
Got it. Okay,
But that's that's over the contractual rate.
Correct.
okay.
Help me
So,
out, if I might.
but
In past couple of years ago, if I recall, didn't we, for the non-union employees, not give them a raise?
Correct.
But the union employees got a raise.
No,
No,
yes, but then the following year, the non-union employees received a raise and the union employees did not. So we
but
did
because their
balance it.
contract was,
Correct. Well, it was, we never finished the contract negotiations because of COVID. That threw things off.
and it wasn't retroactive, whatever, wasn't retroactive to cover. The
you
union
mean?
employees have been under a contract for the last, I don't know how many years.
Right, so their contract extended.
Yeah.
And their contract created a 2% raise that year.
Okay.
So the town, if you recall, the town hall employees.
I don't recall, I'm sorry, that's why
Okay,
I'm asking.
so I'm sorry, the town hall employees, so now the non-union employees received no raise. The
Right.
union employees received 2% and I reduced my salary to cover the expense. If you want to ask. So my salary reduced so that we could cover the cost, because when we extended the contract, I understood it to mean that they would just stay flat. But because the contract said a 2% raise, the union representative came back and it was determined that they should receive another 2% that year. The following year, it flip-flopped and the non-union employees got the 2%, but the union employees received nothing.
Oh. They actually got, so they negotiated nothing. That was they had a contract,
They're
right?
correct, they did.
And they agreed to zero.
They agreed to zero.
Oh, okay.
Because we were coming off of
Right,
the uncertainty of COVID.
Right.
Not anticipating the 8% spike in inflation.
sure.
Sure.
So, and then the following year, they did receive 1.75 across the board. But
That following year was last year,
last year,
not the year we're in now.
not. This,
It's the
well,
year
this-
we're in now. It's in
yes,
twenty
correct.
twenty-three,
Yes.
FY 2023.
FY 23, so
Thank you.
FY 22, they didn't receive anything, FY 23, they received 1.75.
Can I interject? Just as, since we're going down memory lane, I want to interject that in that same year, they did get reclassified in terms of their job function.
Correct.
So while they didn't technically get a raise, they got paid more
Sort of step
for the
function.
same work because they were not classified correctly in the prior year.
You mean for, as far as the snow differential?
I don't remember exactly, but I
There-
know that
Well-
they in effect made more money. For
The
for the same work, and
specifics
and it's not that there was any issue with that, it was the right thing to do. They were not being paid right for the class of work that they were doing.
So equipment operators, and there's only two specified on any given day. If they're operating equipment, they do receive $1.50 more per hour. Sometimes it's only 4 hours, sometimes it's no hours, so it's not specific, it's only when they're operating specific equipment. And then when they're called in for snow duty, they're paid $1.50 differential for that.
And
So
again,
if
I'm not
there's no
debating
snow-
that we did that, I just wanted
Right,
everybody to know that we did also make that correction in
Yes,
the
we
same
did.
year, which helped the people.
but that was only the Public Works Department,
That's
it
right.
wasn't the Union Town Hall. employees.
Yeah, correct.
Got it.
If I might,
Go ahead.
I don't object to doing something nice for the employees, but that's what the contract says. That's a little strange to me, to be honest with you. But it's also in some ways good leadership too, so thank you.
So we're on Board of Finance. And looks like the only thing that's going up in our budget is the secretary, and it's at 3%. Any questions on that? Questions on that? So then we move on to Board of Selectmen. And it looks like town dues and CCM. So CCM is driving the reduction in town dues, CCM is. And so that's just withdrawing from CCM,
Correct. That was a vote, again, 2-1
got it?
in favor of withdrawing from CCM.
Any thoughts on why we would withdraw, why we feel like there's not enough value coming from CCM that we would withdraw?
We polled town hall staff. I contributed my own thoughts and the value just didn't seem to be there.
Okay,
So,
questions?
I attended a couple CCM gatherings, I forget what they were called exactly. I found them useful, but for me, I was new and I was learning something, so you know, if you've already been there a few times, maybe we're passing, I don't know. They provide the classes, right? The classes for
they do have some seminars since
seminars.
COVID. Since COVID, the number of classes that they've been offering, their services that seem to have dropped off quite a bit. And they're not offering as many seminars. A lot of times we will reach out to them and say, hey, well, what is the rate for this position? But the data that you typically get from them isn't extremely useful.
Really?
So it's more marketed towards the bigger cities. And a lot of their emphasis is towards the bigger cities. So.
Our subscriptions, memberships with CCM, are they tailored to the number of people in the municipality? So if you're the city
Right.
department, you pay more than the town of Thompson?
Yes,
And I guess it would make sense, right? That if your biggest contributors are the big cities, then that might be where you might put the majority of your focus in terms of the information that you provide, the services you provide. Any questions on the CCM membership? Any questions on anything else in the Board of Selectmen budget? Questions? Move on to first selectman. Looks like the secretary has the 3%, just like all other employees. Although recording clerk says 2.3%. Recording clerk, that's a person, right?
is that something?
That'd be line item number 36.
Oh, that might have been skipped over somehow.
Okay,
I don't know how.
so
That might be a correction.
perhaps an adjustment made. Go ahead, Dave.
And I also didn't put in the Board of Ed HR. Which we needed to adjust. Sorry about that.
Okay, which line item is that?
HR, which is for 33.
33.
It's technically a Board of Ed position officially, and I didn't enter in any salary increase for that, and there will need to be one there.
So need to add salary increase, to add salary or salary increase?
Increase, just an increase.
And would that be 3%, Amy? Is that what the,
I think it might have been 2.5
okay,
for the non-certified.
and again, if I might,
Go ahead.
no increase for the selectmen or any of the selectmen? Would you get 3% as well?
Well, last year I attempted to increase the second and third selectmen. That was voted down by the Board of Finance. Additionally, the Board of Finance denied any raise for the first selectman position, so I did not choose to ask for anything. So,
Dave, did you want to comment on something? Or-
Have we moved on yet, or we're on the Board of Selectmen?
We'll technically move down into first selectman.
Yeah, I do have a
Go
question.
ahead.
Item 27 and 29, is there any difference there, or why is that repeated?
So line 27 is so line 29 is a sub line of line 27.
Got it.
So that doesn't figure into the total.
Okay,
It only counts once the way the formula is set up. If you look to the left there, Dave. Under first selectman, you'll see town administrator and
yeah,
first selectman. are
I
indent-
see that, and I see them as subs.
Yeah,
But, you know, in the first two items, we didn't classify it as such. I understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
I
you'll
will-
see that.
I will
actually
see it again, for
Through,
sure.
through the,
Yeah.
it happens a number of times,
Thank you,
especially in
Bill.
the first half of the budget.
Thank you.
Amy, was last year the year that you were going to take a pay cut and we restored it?
yeah, well, I
Okay.
think it was last year or the year before.
Okay,
It's hard to remember.
Well,
Was it last year?
it was last year in lieu of a town administrator.
Right.
That's what it was. Okay.
Oh, yes, correct. Thank you.
All right, so go
I
ahead.
had a question.
Go ahead, Rob.
It's a request from Bill. Bill, could we have a view on the second column that says 2023 year to date?
It's actually added on the screen. So I had, and it's actually. It's on, you should have it on this version. It's the second column from the left,
Yeah.
2023 year to date. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was leading up to the
Oh, okay.
question. This gives us a point in time, I'm thinking up through probably February, month's
Yes.
end. Could we add the 4 months remaining? Because it's a really not a meaningful number,
Right.
because I don't know if you're
And it's-
under, you're over, you're gonna shoot it way over, you're way under.
It's a
Gives
bit
us
of a blend because this includes encumbrances. However, not everything is encumbered.
The projected part of projected
That's
spend is on
why
the
I
encumbered?
added the word projected there. For example, legal,
Yeah,
we've encumbered the full amount,
sure.
but that's not consistent across all expenses.
But
But we
for-
could annualize.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, because for the salary, for example, it's at 38,000 for
Right.
the first, year. We know it's gonna probably peg out at 60.
Sure.
Would that be a heavy lift to kind of do
That's something that
a
could definitely be.
actual year to date plus encumbered plus projected finish of the year?
Sure. Yeah, I can get that in for
Is
the
that
next
like,
meeting.
did I just give you 50 hours worth of work?
Probably.
No, no problem.
Okay, and I understanding part of it's an estimate.
Yep,
All right.
Sure.
I did tell Bill that if what we put into this gets big enough, he can reprint these on 11 by 17. And I literally, like, no kidding, gave him permission. At some point, if you try to fit it all in, it's gonna be so small that I'm gonna have to use my reading glasses plus a microscope, so. If you gotta use bigger paper, go ahead, use 11 by 17, go for it, seriously.
Is that valuable to others? Because I hate to have them do all the work. That's true.
Definitely.
That's,
Definitely.
Yes, it gives us a run rate, a run rate view on where this should.
that's the most important to me, to calculating the next year's needs. That's right.
Thank you, it's fine. I mean, it looks like, other than personnel admin, executive secretary at 3%, that the 1657. The other big one down here is advertising. I don't know if there's another page down here. No, so. You're talking about basically advertising and admin secretary, and then whatever comes in from the adjustment to add increase to the HR person. Any questions on any of these?
Just, you mentioned, printing and publication is significant. Is that an increase? Oh, I see what it is.
Advertising.
$100, okay.
Advertising is the increase of 1,000.
Yeah,
Okay,
Go ahead.
my only other question, it's a bit of what they call left pocket, right pocket, meaning it doesn't really change the overall town view, but is the allocation appropriate when we started with some of these shared services? I don't know if that's the
So-
right, I don't know if that's the right word.
So the
but when we
two-
have someone like HR, is that the right split, or should we lean more into the town? It really is about the
We've actually
activity,
looked
right?
at it and I think it is.
Okay.
Michelle is currently at 70-30, I believe, 70 school, 30 town.
You've looked at it,
And I'm 50-50 between the town.
and
the school.
everyone's comfortable that that's the appropriate, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on the first selectman department? First selectman department, any other questions? We good? We'll move on. Data processing. So it looks like professional services, there's a bunch in there, but looks like there's a driver called Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi upgrade.
is that throughout this building
This
or
building.
just this building?
My understanding, and maybe jump in if I get this wrong, the Wi-Fi in the town hall runs essentially on a more like a residential type of a setup. And this is an upgrade to a more secure commercial type setup. It's really hardware. It's router. I don't speak IT. so-
We're under a lot of guidelines in order to meet cybersecurity
Well, that's what
standards.
my question was gonna
Correct.
be.
Yeah,
Uh, Will
This
this,
meets-
will this help in that?
This meets the needs that we have in order to. One, prevent cyber attacks. Number two, to prevent cybersecurity insurance cost increases.
Oh, yeah.
So if we meet these demands that are asked of cyber insurance, then it'll keep our costs lower as well.
Thank you, Amy.
Is that a one and done cost or is that a?
Well, it might
Largely, yes.
largely, but you never know.
But is it phase one of like 10 phases? Or
this should
like
be it.
we should be it unless there might be a residual.
Maintenance
left.
cost probably.
Well, I would think just
So-
as the cyber changes and the cyber threats
Upgrades.
become more sophisticated and
Yeah.
because they learn and then we have to change again.
Right,
So it's kind of ongoing,
fair enough.
but this
I
should
didn't mean
be
forever.
okay.
I didn't mean forever, but other
Right.
things.
but at least for a year or two, hopefully,
Thank you.
or three.
Mike,
Go ahead.
is there any, I don't know if it would be in this department or not, any plans to add Zoom or hybrid meeting capabilities to the library or to the town activity center?
Part of the library, I think once Frontier, so Frontier is doing some upgrades. Allison and the board of trustees at the library have been hesitant to jump on board with Sen. So Sen is the internet provider that we work through with the school. They've chosen to stay independent of that. Part of the reason is because the cost for running the line to the library would be pretty cost prohibitive. But she also didn't want to join on to Sen, which was a much better deal because there was some limitations as far as what people could access. Basically, yeah, like parental controls, so to speak. So long story short, we just need to get better service at the library. If anybody's been in that dip, you lose service. The connectivity at the library isn't good enough for us to run.
So it isn't a matter of equipment, then it's.
It's
much
more
bigger than that.
connectivity.
Okay, connectivity. thank you.
But Frontier is doing a whole upgrade, so I'm hoping that
We-
will
we
translate
all
into
are,
us.
Because I've been printing at the library
Okay,
because of my internet service.
yeah, so I'm hoping that changes and we can be back at the library.
And then,
25 cents a
in my mind, obviously, I'm seeing that whatever Apex is, that's a driver too. And that's connected, you said BOE network connectivity, so that's connected to this whole.
It's the
uh,
whole network,
yeah.
correct? And firewalls and
So is that another part of this upgrading from residential to commercial to meet cyber insurance requirements, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
correct.
That's all in the same.
I'm not IT, but that's the way I understand it,
So we're looking at $20,000 roughly for
roughly.
this
And there
this
are some,
upgrade.
and there is some increases to quality and let's see, quality and vision. Which are for the assessor and the tax office.
You said quality and vision?
Yeah, line 61 and 62.
There it is.
What, if I could,
Good.
yeah, what is,
That's
it says
30,000.
price increase. Does that
What-
does that
what
mean the
does it say
price
there?
went up or does that mean we changed our service?
We changed the service and the price went up. From what I understand, and I can't speak for Rainey but that was my understanding.
Is this all related to the upgrade you're talking about?
No. This is just the software. This is just the vision and the quality.
Okay, that's a separate then.
Correct.
Does it come under the same protective umbrella?
Oh, of course,
Okay.
of the network itself.
Could I request a
Yeah.
little detail, because it says price increase, so
Yeah.
that would lend one to believe that it's the same as it was before, but it cost me more. It sounds like it's going up, but we're getting more. What are we getting and why?
Okay.
I think would be important to know.
I didn't think my dad.
There you go.
We should have. You can ask Paul and Amy, but I think it's more,
The vision's for the assessor, correct?
yes,
And quality, is that different or is that?
quality is what the tax,
Access.
they
Oh,
submit
okay.
bills and
Got
things
it.
like that.
How you get your bill,
I didn't know the quality one, honestly.
but they are meshed, aren't they? Vision and quality.
Yes,
Because of figures, so vision have to go. Makes sense.
But then like Office 365 is down, which means we must have discontinued
We didn't need to pay, it's covered through this coming year.
it. Got it. Go ahead.
What's the IT budget line for the school, 66?
School
Oh,
IT department.
Yeah, that stayed flat at 20,000. That's, we offset. So when we merged services with the school, we added 20,000 to the town budget to help boost some of the salaries for the extra work that those staff would be undertaking by being here as well. Coming here for evenings, being on call during vacations, and that remained flat from last year. Actually, the last 2 years, I think.
But we haven't spent any of that.
That's
We just haven't paid it out yet, right?
right.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been paid out yet. It's timing of an accounting entry.
That's where the expected current year would be helpful.
And again, that's line 66. Where it hasn't been paid out yet. Is that what you mean?
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
So is the expectation that that'll be paid in full, or is the
Yeah.
services less
Yeah.
and it'll be paid less? No.
No, I
It's
would
in
argue
both.
that
It offsets.
the services have probably gone up over the last couple of years, but
They've done a lot, they've done a lot. And Melinda and the Board of Education graciously kept it the same. Because it's all about working together.
And then Munis, is that where it's like staying with the same subscription, but the price is going up?
For the accounting.
yes, that's the accounting.
yeah.
stuff.
Line item 60. And then software. 8,800, oh. That would be line item 7. Line item 70. Do we know what the driver, it's just called software.
I don't remember going over that one. You give me a second?
Sure.
Just gonna see.
I noticed software updates goes to 0, maybe, I'm saying it is some offset.
Yeah. Right.
We don't have. any.
I don't have any notes. Oh, wait, come on. One sec.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Sometimes there's notes tucked into ClearGov.
Yeah.
right?
That's what we're checking with.
Yeah.
Okay, software, correct?
Mhm.
Office 365, Dell moved from lease, Adobe Financial, Adobe Pro. That's what here for the notes.
From the.
Okay, so that Office 365
Got moved
was
to
not
that,
a multi-year.
Right,
It was the placement in the accounting in the budget was moved.
So are we going from a yearly fee to purchasing?
that's the yearly fee.
That is the yearly fee?
Mhm.
I see, because, so am I correct here, where line 67 was Office 365,
Got moved.
and that goes down.
So you
to-
just said 67 and 71. Okay,
That's it.
so we
looks
didn't
like-
save anything.
Right.
Right, it looks like what used to be in 67
Yeah, it
just
did
just
have
reemerged over in 71, right?
It's frustrating.
It was a
Basically,
relocation of something that I've said I don't like people doing.
but basically 67 moved to 71, yeah,
It's a reclass,
okay.
Yes, reclassification.
reclass, yeah.
So instead of saving it, we increased that line item.
With Adobe as well.
Oh, yeah, because there's
There's
a
a-
couple other things.
Right.
in there.
Okay. So does that mean revaluation IT requirements, line 72, did that reemerge somewhere else too? Was that a reclass?
So revaluation is always listed under, I think that's an old line from previous.
Oh, whoops, yeah, that's a
Year.
000 across. I'm sorry,
Right.
my eyes are,
That's okay.
that's 00 all the way across. It was software updates, that's where it went down.
Over the
Software-
last few years, revaluation has been bulked with capital expenditures.
So maybe, and maybe we already covered this and I missed it. Software updates went down. See software updates, line 71,
Mhm.
it was 3,100, then it went down to. It went down, it's down by
To nothing.
3,000 to nothing. So did that reemerge
Okay.
somewhere else?
Probably when Marie did some of this work, she bulked everything into software,
Okay,
so.
so it's entirely possible that we combined items, line item 67 and 71 into 70. And if that's the case, then at least that's a net lower than what we were doing when they were split out,
Mhm.
if that's true. Any other questions in this section? Data processing. Any other questions?
Just a comment, I mean, it's a big number. It's a 16% increase. And might need to be revisited depending on where we land.
Are you talking about the total? Rob?
So we're talking about the total. I
Yeah.
don't know if this is all without pressing, and I'm not suggesting we do right now, but without pressing further, is all of it needed? Is all of it needed this year? Could we bridge it over 2 years? It's just, it is a big number and we're early. I'm just
Mhm.
suggesting that we may want to loop back to say, are there opportunities here to? What's most important out of all of this, and can we live with what we have for another year on some of this?
And I would think that if the board wishes, we could have some of the IT staff. Potentially Heather Burns, who's the head of IT, come and speak to some of these items. Better than what we.
I mean, I would find it helpful. There's a lot of puts and takes and there's a lot of movement. And at the end of the day, there's a 16% increase. So I don't think we fully understand
And we
all
will
of
get
those puts and
this,
takes.
the solid answer for you for the vision and the quality
Yeah.
increases, which were inputted by the tax office and the assessor.
That'd be great, thanks.
Yeah, those two increases account for way over half. the
Vision and
total
quality.
increase, yeah.
That's right.
Mm.
Anything else in data process? Before we move on.
I'd make one other quick comment for the group, just that I'm in the midst of cyber nightmares in the private sector. So while until you experience it, it's kind of like, why, it's a lot of money, why are we doing it?
Right.
I kind of get why.
Yeah, right.
So,
Yeah.
sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's important.
Mhm.
It's not important until you need it.
That's right.
Then when you have it, you're glad you have it.
Yeah, the only pill that's harder to swallow than this one is when you do get cyber attacked
That's right.
and they do break in and they do create a whole bunch of mess.
And it hasn't been that long ago. We did have something in town that was, wasn't it? Like 3 years ago, it was 3 years ago. I thought there was something going on for a short period of time.
They lock you out of your.
Yeah, it was
Lock
something.
you out of something and.
There was
demand
something.
ransom.
Even beyond that, they could wipe out like all of Bill's financials and you could have no access to it. You gotta rebuild everything. Think about that. You come in one day and there's nothing, zero.
Something.
So, yeah,
That makes
it's
it
that kind of-
24 projection.
No ransom with the nothing.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the.
That's why we like it on paper.
I don't
Right.
know. I don't remember what it was.
Okay. Data processing, anything else? We'll move on to, okay, we'll move on to grant procurement because there it is, but there's really not much going on.
That's good.
An old line. an old line
Yep.
item.
No
Okay.
questions.
So then we move on to finance and treasurer.
Mhm.
And the financial clerk, this has been discussed
Mhm.
previously.
That
It
was.
was a reclassification, I recall.
Okay, if anybody has anything they want to jump into, go ahead.
80,
Assistant treasurer is 50/50 also done.
Yes, yeah.
is that a new position now? Or you-
That is a new position, yes.
The assistant treasurer?
Yeah, the assistant, you're right, the line 89.
Yeah,
That
if
would
that's
be-
new, wouldn't it show up as 100% instead of 0%?
It's 100 for us, yeah.
It's 100 for us. I mean, I can just put that note here.
Okay, I'll check my percent column.
Yeah,
So yes, because it was 0 in
Actually, more than
2023.
yeah, that's weird.
That's probably why it's going to zero.
Missed the,
Truncated at a
Yeah.
million.
missed the percentage.
It went to infinity.
Right.
Right.
But yes,
And
and
more
that's,
than
and
100
that's
is-
split
is-
cannot
50-50
compute.
with
Yes,
this.
yeah.
So if I.
Go ahead.
If I could, so if that's already split and it's 20-hour, that's $120,000 a year.
Yeah,
role?
that 20-hour tag was the existing line in Munis. But I guess it would probably be, it's probably more like 10 hours a week.
So if it's 10
For the
hours a week,
individual.
that kind of almost makes my question worse. So that would be 30 times 2 is 60 times 4 is a $240,000 role.
Well,
Is that,
We're
The person-
using Guy,
right, the person holding the position is still Guy Lapointe.
And what are we looking at as total salary here then?
60,
60?
well, he would probably come in around 50, so there's probably room to come down.
Now, is this a per diem or per hour or?
He works per hour, yes.
so if I could go.
Go ahead.
I wasn't going to. So it's 50, but it's really, it said that it's split, so. Is that 50 the whole thing, or is that half?
And 50 would be the whole thing. Yes, so
So
when
it
I
should be-
initially put that budget, we were trying to think if we should be at 60 or 50. At the time when the sheet was pulled together, we kept it at 60, and that's why there's 30
And you
there for
dropped
the
it to
town's
30.
half.
And I mean, I know Guy and introduced you, so he's very talented.
Yeah,
Is there a time where you can move away from Guy? Like
That's
it was
potential, yeah.
set for an interim, like when is that? Sometimes these things continue on for years to come. Is there very discrete project work that you need him for? And is there an endpoint?
the way I look at the role, as we wrap up getting through this year's audit. The focus is going to be on some account reconciliation work and grant accounting, and that's really the split between the school and the town, because most of the grant accounting work it's heavier at the school
Mhm.
than it is at the town.
And after this year, would he be in a position where that work would be done? Like, is this the last year we're gonna see that?
No, that work would be ongoing every year, whether or not Guy is the person who stays in that role going forward, or if we were to hire some, because it all depends on Guy's career aspirations too. But I've had a conversation with him about the near future anyway. So he's okay to stay on and help out.
We want to be on our needs, not on his aspirations, no offense.
Oh, no, what I meant by that is if he decides to retire.
And Bill,
Steve, what I meant by that is if he decides to retire.
Oh, okay.
Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, but he also doesn't require any benefits.
Right, no.
So that was because he was so skilled and he was doing the work already. To keep him a little bit longer was Bill's
He's
intention.
a consultant and his rate is here.
Yeah.
That's why you shouldn't require benefits, right?
Right,
But I thought he was already in the burn rate. Sorry, Dave. I thought he was already, we already have him for X amount of hours. So why is it zero now? Like, it's showing this 30,000 dropping in. We're
His-
paying him today, right? So.
His pay this year is, and we've talked about this, if you recall, at previous Board of Finance meetings. Was to be funded from a transfer from the benefit line. But the savings and the fact that Orla's no longer here and took benefits. And I'm here and don't take benefits.
Right.
So but that transfer has not happened in this year.
Regardless of what you're sort of offsetting the cost with, it should be recorded in the appropriate line of where you're spending it, not where you happen to be offsetting it somewhere.
No, I agree. It's just a matter of having the transfer approved by this board and then booking it.
Whether we approve it or not, we're not spending health benefits
I'm-
for having
hold
died
on.
here. I don't understand.
Guy's cost right now is hitting the. Let me get the right line. Line 90. His actual. For the, I'm sorry, Rob, I
Oh,
had
all
to
right,
decode what you were asking.
that explains. Okay.
His
Yeah, look at it a
actual
little
is
different now.
in the 77,907
That's in
for
benefit
this year.
for the current year. So I don't know, is that so far or?
That's so far.
And I'm going to ask the question.
It's the
that
same one.
you're-
It's the same one. Go ahead.
Why is it next year the same? And then, and to multiple points. Consultants.
Yes.
I thought we were hiring an assistant, which worked for you,
Yeah.
not at the consultant level.
Oh,
Lord knows I was a consultant and you get paid outrageously, but there's reasons for that.
Oh, I'm getting confused. You're looking at line item 90?
Yes.
That's you, isn't it?
That's me, and so if you look at the 2023 column, the second column from the
I'm
left,
getting confused.
that number is me, it's half of me. and
Yes,
Guy.
yes.
Okay, all right.
Because remember, I'm split 50.
Is it half of you and half of Guy? Or half of you and all of Guy?
No, that's all of Guy at the moment.
Half
So
of
there's,
you, all of
there is
So
some.
where are you?
accounting. I'm in line 90. And I'm at the Board of Ed.
He's 50. They
if I-
split him.
I'm 50.
Go ahead.
If I could jump in,
Go ahead.
it's 75 in the budget. Year to date, it's at 77.
I think we have to clarify that.
Over budget.
I'm gonna try to clarify it.
Okay.
It's already at 77.9, but when you fill in the last 4 months. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, the delta between 75 and where 77.9 is really gonna land. That's the consultant.
Right, correct.
You follow that, Dave?
Yeah,
I
I,
follow it.
Okay,
Gotcha.
I have some accounting work in the actual column to spike that out separately, because now we have a line for Guy, whereas previously we didn't.
right.
And that's
So-
why his charges were hitting the financial director line.
Gonna make a
And I think they were hitting it because he was in that role prior to me joining.
Yes.
So that's why it was coded
Yeah,
that way.
yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
okay,
It would be helpful, I think, if you moved his portion out of the 77.9, moved
Split
it
it
up to 89. So it aligns with where the go forward
No,
is
that
gonna be,
absolutely, yep.
and
that
then
makes
the
sense.
picture will be clear.
right.
Right, meaning because that $30,000 is him for the coming fiscal year. And so making it.
Person in that position.
Right, that position. So making it go straight across so we can see.
Mhm.
So we're comparing an apple to an apple all the way. across.
Right.
Exactly.
And last comment, if
Yeah.
I could, when he came in, things were sideways.
Yes.
This is not a job that an assistant
I'm,
could do.
I'm very well aware of
Okay.
that.
And he came in very talented. We paid him a
Absolutely,
lot.
did a great job.
But he hit the ground running on day one without a lot of handholding. My initial question was around like, is there a point at which we don't.
We don't
there's a
need
point
that
at which we
level
don't
of-
carry forward with them, because I've seen these situations where they go on for a long.
Well,
we've
if you
already-
Rob, if you recall my motion of last year,
What was that?
I don't.
it
Remind me,
included
please.
an assistant
I
director
do.
as
I do.
directed by the finance
Right.
director,
If needed.
if
Yeah,
needed.
I recall that.
So
That's different than my question, though. My question is about how much longer do we need the
Well,
consultant?
if,
And at what point do we wean off?
I
the
would,
consultant?
I think it's gonna be more permanent than you would like.
The consultant. Maybe not, if it's project based, is
Well,
next
you're
year's
saying
budget?
consultant, not assistant. You're
I
okay
mean,
with
he-
there being an assistant.
is
it's not a
yes,
consultant,
he-
right?
Yeah, I'm not even talking about the assistant just
Right.
yet,
Right.
just yet. I'm just trying to understand, is there a point at which? Guy's been great, we brought him on, he was a good resource, we go through all that history, but is there a point at which we don't have projects for a guy at his caliber? Or are you saying, no, it's gonna be 60,000 for lots of years, because we got lots of things that we gotta take care of.
Well,
Yes, it's the latter.
It's gonna be 60,000
Yes,
for lots
because-
of years.
Because there's additional work. Specifically, the grant accounting and account reconciliation work that role would help out with. And my understanding was that was one of the things that was considered when the decision to create my position
it was,
was put into play.
that was my understanding.
That happens to be filled by Guy right now because yes, he is expensive. I will give you that. He is also pretty darn efficient. and extremely knowledgeable. He's been very valuable in having, another accounting mind, if you will, to bounce things off of.
Yep.
So that's why I made the decision to continue with him this year.
In lieu of the assistant. It's not
Yes.
additive. Okay.
No, it's not additive, absolutely not.
And that's what, yeah.
No, it's not additive.
I'm good. Thank you.
Yep.
I think if we just moved it up to.
I think once you move it into the next.
Yeah, before I move the act, sorry about that. It's just. Accounting classification.
If it goes at 89, Rob will be happy.
So then, again, so just at the risk of stating the obvious, because you said in lieu of, so that means he is the assistant. That's
Right.
it.
Correct.
He is.
Yeah, that's, he's acting in that role.
Because,
I don't-
do we have an assistant in addition to him?
No,
No, but I'd be
Right.
careful with that because he's not really an assistant.
Yeah,
You
the-
elected to redeploy those funds.
Right.
To a different resource,
The-
right? In a sense.
I guess.
I'm
I
not
would
questioning the
say-
decision, it's driving the
Oh,
right value,
absolutely
it's the
not.
right
Oh,
decision.
absolutely.
The only thing I question at this point is the name assistant. Mainly because by law, your assistant has certain responsibilities in your absence.
Call it what he is.
And I would check the law. You may just want to call him a consultant. Or since he's not receiving benefits, a contractual individual.
Sure.
Versus the assistant.
That's where I was going, which was to put him in the bucket that he really is providing.
I checked the law, Bill, but I think the assistant has certain privileges in your absence.
Good point.
So if you look at the delta for the group, it's really driven by the increase in the financial clerk and the creation of the role we're referring to as the assistant. Everything else is pretty straightforward.
Mhm.
And I'd really like to go back to your comment. I'd like to compare it to 23 expected. Would be very helpful.
Anything else in finance and treasury? Anything else? Any other questions in finance and treasury? Then we would move on to tax collector. Looks like this is mostly 3% salaries.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, do you want to come back?
Can we go
Do you want
back?
to come back?
Yeah,
We can come back. We can come back.
I have a question too.
Yeah,
Okay.
when you mentioned this role that the consultant's playing in lieu of the assistant treasurer. You mentioned grants.
Yes,
What is he doing with grants? Is he?
he isn't currently doing anything with the grants, but as I look, my comment was as I look at that role in the future.
Yeah.
That's where that person will be spending some
And-
of their
and
time
is
on
it-
both sides, but primarily at the school.
Yeah, and is that, and you don't need to answer it now, because we're gonna come back to this, but is there a scenario where that role is almost self-funding?
It's grant accounting work, not grant acquisition work. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes into accounting for grants. It's wonderful when we get them,
Yeah,
but there is a very real, and I'm glad to see Dave nodding, because he's probably.
Well, when I was there, there were several grants
Yeah.
in a number of different areas.
There's a
And
lot of
there's a
reporting.
Lot of
There's
reporting,
just a lot of
salaries,
deadlines
benefits, you
to stay
name it.
on top of.
compliance, stuff, that stuff.
Exactly. It's
Okay.
not acquisition work.
Thank you.
I would love it if it were.
I
Love to
just,
see
it's,
more.
I heard that and I thought maybe there's an opportunity to self-fund the role.
Yeah, the question I had, Bill, is that, we look at the 34.8%. And that's really generated by a previous budget, 2022, where you looked at the 108. In actuality, in this present budget, we've only got 75,000, so we're adding 30,000 to this budget.
Yes. Yes.
Prior year budget.
No, well, it wasn't there. It doesn't exist in the prior year budget.
Right, but what you're saying is, had it been, the
It-
increase wouldn't be as.
That's
magnitude
correct.
it was.
That's correct.
So not to beat a dead horse, but, we were talking about the grant accounting, and so yes, there's a difference between grant applying, grant administering, and grant accounting. I know, when you apply for grants, a lot of times you build in administration into the cost.
On the grants that we receive, that's not the case.
Okay,
There may be on some of the town grants, but especially at the school, and I'm looking to Melinda, that's just not the case. It gets absorbed by the finance team.
got it. And maybe government grants work different from nonprofit grants. I'm just thinking about whenever I would write, and I haven't written grants for a few years, but from the nonprofit side, you would always try to build in overhead.
Right.
Right, because everyone from the CEO down on down spends at least some time, and then as you get further down the chain, more and more of their time gets allocated to whatever it is. So that's just as soon as someone said, the difference between the cost of getting and accounting, and I thought, well, wait, I remember we used to build in administration of, but I don't know if that counts or if there's any opportunity there or to do some offsetting of Guy.
And many of the grants you get on the school side are very, very targeted.
Yeah.
They're for a specific project or some specific type of instruction. And there's no allowance for administration.
Overhead and-
You're regulated by state and federal regs, so you have no choice but to spend the money on what they say you spend it on.
Got it. So no tolerance for overhead. in it. It's basically direct costs. That's it.
Yeah,
Mr. Chair, can I just clarify with Bill? For as far as the grant accounting work, is that specifically targeted towards the school mostly? Because our director of planning and development had said for clarification, I do most of my own grant reporting.
right.
And she just wanted to clarify, but that is not all the grants open for the town.
Exactly.
Okay,
Tira takes care of a good chunk of her own reporting. This is the accounting for, on the town side, the grants that don't fall under Tira's purview. And then the remainder are up at the school, and the volume is much
school.
higher at the school.
Mhm.
and the regulations and
Yes,
the requirements.
Yeah, that's the split of the role.
it's not, it's not a fun scene to sit in.
Reporting that
Mhm.
Go ahead, Melinda.
It's the multiple reporting, it's just, and it's more cumbersome now. I've always managed grants for 40 years in the school department. And if they're more cumbersome now, they're electronic. And there's more arms and legs and criteria to meet, and Bill has to do that financially. And there's quarterly reports, expenditure reports, it's ridiculous. How much time he spends in those
Believe it.
grants.
Mhm.
Any other questions in the finance and treasurer department? Before we move on to tax collector. Anything else? So move on to tax collector, and as we were saying, the drivers here are salary 3%. Any questions in the tax collector department?
Oh, that's nothing.
Right, there's a huge percentage, but it
I
does.
see that 900%.
That's right.
It's $45.
The next one.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, when it gets to be mid-April, maybe we'll come back to the one, I don't know.
We'll hit the high percentage.
Oh, sure,
Oh, boy.
Especially the
that's right.
2,900%.
You got it. Yeah, everything's on the table at that point. Any questions on tax collector?
Yeah.
Questions on tax collector? So move on to assessor. And it seems to be a similar story here.
Chase grants. Let's see what printer here.
Was that built into the hiring process, Amy, the assessment salary?
That was a decision after a review, and discussion with the Board of Selectmen, for his salary. There's a high number of assessor positions that are open in the state, and we're just trying to make sure he stays here.
Right.
Because he's a valuable asset.
I
Retention process.
understand that.
What's
Not the
that?
hiring
It's
process, the retention process.
Absolutely. Recruitment, retention.
Yes.
That brings him more in line with market.
Yes. The average across the state of Connecticut is 103,000.
You say 130?
103
103.
was what I had calculated. Based on towns that were similar in size.
Anything else here in assessor? Anything else? Anything else? Questions? in assessor? We'll move on to Board of Assessment Appeals. I didn't realize they got paid.
It's the only one that does. Just about the only one.
Jeez, what a great idea. For us. I don't think it'll work.
Not this year. Maybe next year.
Is that right? Some other year. Some other year. Any questions on Board of Assessment Appeals?
Not 3%.
I'm trying to figure that out with Bill right now. Everybody was supposed to be 3%. Originally, the chairman asked for more across the board for all three positions, and I may have neglected to enter that in properly.
So this is gonna go to 3.
Yes.
Thank you.
So meaning that should be a 3?
The other
Chairman
two,
should have been 3 as well,
The 7.8 should have been a 3, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those should have been 3 somewhere.
correct.
Yeah, and that's only one line. 'Cause
Yeah.
There's a subline.
right,
And then there's the elected official 2 and 3, so there's 3 of them total,
3%.
correct?
1, 2, 3.
So that's an error that I made.
That's a state statute thing.
Okay.
Anything else with Board of Assessment Appeal?
So that'll cut the total down to 3%.
So more like $40 or $50 or something. Okay, anything else for Board of Assessment Appeal? Elections and registration, we did hear from one of the registrars. I imagine election food is probably a function of the number of people who are election workers.
Mhm.
Any questions? Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Are these encumbered, the election workers? To some degree,
I don't think they are.
so we're probably going to exceed the budget then.
I apologize, Steve, but I'd have to check that because I combined the two. If there is an encumbrance there, it's in that total. I removed the encumbrance column just because it was getting unwieldy.
Steve, you talking about election workers?
I'm
and-
sorry, yeah, I'm thinking about
Yes,
election workers.
and then
and-
referendum before the end of the fiscal, this current fiscal.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know, again, sounds like it's not encumbered.
I would have.
Well, the
to-
budget is 23. isn't it?
Right, so I'm guessing we're going to exceed the budget.
Right, I would have to look. would have to
Because they
look
were
that
Well, that depends,
probably
it
budgeted
depends on the mill rate,
4%.
Steve.
I'm sorry?
I said that depends on the mill rate.
Yeah, right.
I'll be happy to spend a little more. yeah.
I had a
I
question.
don't think we'll need to.
I have a question and a comment.
Go ahead.
The question is, in an election year, would this be the same as the prior year? I understand they added 50% for the 50% people we need. But do we see an increase in cost in an election year?
Well, I think it depends on the Board of Finance budget. How many referendums we have.
Well, I'm talking about November.
They-
I
The
understand that
registrars anticipate,
this,
It's a little longer, that's all.
When you say lot, what do you mean longer?
election workers covers all
Yeah.
referendums.
It's okay. It's a more
All
expensive.
voters, all
Every other
voters.
year is a little bigger and more expensive, but it's okay. It might,
My quick concern, I'm sorry.
that was the question. The comment was just that I recognize we're not in Hartford and we're not gonna change the mandate from the state, but extremely overkill
Mhm.
in a town with 9,000 people and 4 polling stations to have 6 people at every station.
Mhm.
It's disappointing that it's costing the town more money now.
we tried to consolidate.
I understand. Well, just not-
I agree. I've been in favor of consolidating it for a long time. Except this area is limited parking versus a community center.
If you're in Bridgeport, maybe you need 6 people, or in New London, but I don't know. We're not gonna change that at 24, just my comment on it.
My concern would be that if we're spending 21 so far. We're gonna exceed 23 for the year. Does that mean our increase needs to be more? For 24, for 24?
Well, it is. It's going to 35.
Yeah, but that's the 50% increase.
That's
But
right,
that's 10% over
that's
budget as
right.
opposed to 50% of what we actually spend this year.
I think we have to revisit that, Steve.
That
because
gets back
we
to
don't
your
know if
comment
he's
again.
encumbered at all,
Yeah.
then we're okay. If not pacing and he hasn't.
I'll follow up with Frank. And I will.
Meaning if this is encumbered for the next coming, knowing that we're gonna have at least one budget referendum, at least one. Meaning, did he encumber this? Right, we
Right.
don't know. We don't know if he's encumbered this.
That's just actual through 8
Right,
months.
right, or is it right?
Which would tend to help validate the 23 budget, whether it's appropriate or not.
I think that's right. Okay, anything else for elections and registrations? Elections and registration. Okay, we need to, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just notes from when the registrars presented for this fiscal year, they plan for one state primary. And that's, so this is between July 2022 to June 2023, one state primary, one state election. Budget for 3 referendums. In fiscal year 24, which would be July 2023 to June 2024. One presidential primary, one municipal election, and a budget for 3 referendums is included in their projected cost for workers. If that's helpful.
Okay.
So they do, it changes and it varies year
It
to
does.
year based on what's gonna be hitting the polls.
Right.
So,
6. Anything, any other questions under elections and registrations, anything else? Move on to town clerk. So I guess just indexing and recording microfilm is the only thing outside of
Mhm.
salaries, because I just flipped the page and there's nothing else for town clerk on the next page. Any questions about indexing and recording microfilm?
No, I think that's been an ongoing project,
It
I've
has
seen that in
been,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
I've seen that in previous
Yeah.
years.
trying to catch up with old stuff.
Have we caught up yet, Amy? Do you know?
what is that for?
The indexing and recording microfilm?
I
Yeah,
think
Len
it's
and,
ongoing.
I know it's ongoing.
Right.
remember that it
But-
was ongoing.
We had budgeted, for example, 18,852 a few years back,
Oh, right.
because that was a catch-up amount.
Right.
Because we were going back and doing everything. I'm just wondering where we are at that stage. Are we still backlogged in microfilming, or are we up to date and just doing current?
I will make it a mission to just double check with
Yeah.
Renee. But I believe that it's wrapping up
Okay,
somewhat.
okay, thank you.
Anything else on the town clerk? You ready to move on? Town council. Any questions on the town council? Any questions?
No contracts coming up this coming year.
Not officially until 2020, well, 2024, but
Mhm.
if we handle it the way we handled it. The previous year, we used little less labor
Okay.
and we worked through it ourselves. Less of the labor attorney.
Mhm,
that is.
mhm.
Anything else under town council? Probate court. I'll just ask it, what's a transfer under the probate
I
court?
have no idea why that's.
Yeah.
there.
Is it just?
Have to transfer of funds to them. I think.
Yeah, right,
Right.
yeah.
That's
yeah,
right.
We
probably.
would pay them, right? I just
Yeah,
didn't know why
exactly
it's
what it
called
is.
transfer.
It's a transfer of funds to the probate court.
I see.
Mm.
Yeah, okay.
It's a
So
per capita.
this is just right. It's just like NDDH. We just
Yes.
get an invoice.
Mhm.
Okay. So any questions here? We'll move on to town hall building. Price increases.
Is there a reason for the significant increase on the custodians?
There is, because I've chosen to, when Pete comes back, Pete has been the maintainer of this building for years, and he does spend time in Florida now. He'll be back in the summer. Pete's a huge asset. With him being gone, we realized, so, I was planning on increasing his salary from $18 per hour to $20 per hour. And that should be reflected in that amount.
Okay. Now, there is someone who's filling in for him while
Correct.
he's in Florida.
Currently paid $18 per hour.
Sorry, so that means this brings them both up to 18,
Pete will be up to 20
20. Got
when
it.
he returns.
So that's I don't remember, 12% increase or something?
Roughly, but we only pay him a few months out of the year. He has a long list of items he'll be completing when he comes back.
And then, the hours may change, but you're actually giving a rate increase of. Everybody's getting 3, he's getting 12. Just a thought.
Anything else? Obviously, price increases for postage, electricity, fuel, that's no surprise. Service contracts. What's a service contract?
I'm gonna find out for you.
Um,
Marie did a lot of this input, but she made a lot of notes.
uh,
Service contract,
Could be copy machines or stuff like
Of
that.
course, yeah.
venture fire alarm and
Yeah.
security alarm monitoring and fire testing, also the elevator contract and testing.
Mhm. Firearms.
And these are not annual, then I take it, these are.
These are annuals
Annual.
required.
Oh,
Well, then, I guess I would ask the increases. A lot.
Well, we didn't have the alarm monitoring before.
Oh, okay, so
In this
it's
line.
actually doing things that we didn't do. before.
Correct.
Is alarm the same thing as security?
It's alarm, security alarm, and mostly the fire testing, which never happened in the past.
Basically, fire, security and elevator, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Painting of town hall exterior.
Yeah, that's a $9,000 quote that I received, where we are having the building pressure washed, and we're hoping to have that money approved so that we can actually paint the building after the pressure wash.
So that means, obviously, building repair and maintenance didn't include anything for pressure washing and painting in the past.
Correct.
Mhm.
The normal, case in point, we have a leak that erupted in this closet here. So that'll be a roof project that we do over the spring. We almost routinely go through, if you look at the history, we go through at least 12,000 in building maintenance every year. So the painting would be above and beyond that building maintenance that we typically allot for.
Yeah, okay.
So
Because painting is kind of a one-time thing, do we anticipate that next year it would come back,
Yep.
that this line would at least come back down closer to 12?
absolutely,
Notwithstanding inflation or whatever.
correct.
Can you help me out? Where's the painting?
That would be line 230. Building repair and maintenance. And the driver is painting of town hall exterior.
Mhm.
And the anticipation is that bump would be basically a one-time bump. It would come back down closer to the 12,000 zone after FY 24.
Exterminating, is that contractual?
It is through Big Blue Bug. They also do the extermination at the transfer station and the animal control.
Anything else under town hall building? Questions?
Not a question, but I think it'll be good to revisit the electricity and fuel increases. Once we know. There may be an increase to prior year's budget, but they may not be an increase to the current reality.
Mhm.
And we'll know that when Bill updates.
Now, how many gallons do we purchase at a time to save fuel? Fuel oil.
You know, I had the price in my head, but not the quantity.
What was
Because
the price?
We
384?
locked in at, I think our blended price for next year is 364 for
Okay.
next, for this budget cycle.
Okay.
384 right now, we had locked in for just over the second half of this year. At both the town and the school.
Okay.
So far that decision is still good. Who knows?
Well, you said it's
It's tough
locked
to
in,
predict.
but is there an open clause in that contract?
No, what I mean is that right now, where I think we're still in the black, if you will, on that.
Oh,
decision,
okay,
Under,
right,
under,
okay.
but things, some things seem to be calming down a little. We were on the phone with some electrical consultants today, and things have calmed down in the electric market a little bit, which was great to hear, because we're trying to
Mhm.
fix our current year problem right now for the next.
And you're
8
paying a
months or so.
commercial rate anyway, I would
Right.
assume.
Your current lock-in prices for the current fiscal year, or does it go beyond that?
We've locked in two separate contracts for 23 and for 24. We actually did it at the same time. It was about 3 or 4 months ago. If I
You
remember.
lock in for the remainder of 23 and also
Yes.
for FY 24,
FY24,
so like 18
yes.
months roughly at that time.
Mhm.
Right.
Thank
There
you.
was if you remember a few months ago, there was a lot of volatility. We saw a dip. And we collectively, our ad hoc fuel committee, me, Melinda, Amy and Bill Birch. Decided to pull the trigger on that.
So this fuel cost is what it is. Am I correct on that?
Yes, the oil is, yep, the fuel, heating, yes.
The only variable is Mother Nature.
Right,
Mhm.
which has helped us a lot this year, obviously.
Definitely.
Geez,
Because we didn't
you have to buy the
allocate
gallon.
enough last year.
So you really have. Yeah, it's-
Crazy when you think March might be colder than January.
No, Bill's
It's
fault.
like to buy more.
We're a select.
Right.
Yeah, we certainly use more salt in February than I did in previous.
Yeah, right.
Might
Anything
be
else?
March.
Anything else under town hall building? Anything else in the town hall building before we move on?
31%, that's a lot of increase.
That's it. That's the number I look at. And I go, I know all these things have rationales and justifications, but that's still not a pleasant number to look at. Anything else under town hall building before we move on? Okay, public safety. There's only one item there. We know what that is. And so, is it safe for me to assume that this is the full cost would be borne by the town? There would be no splitting between this, the state's not offering any deals.
Mhm.
There's no,
They
Cost
consider
sharing.
that the deal.
Mhm.
got it.
The only concern I have is, whomever the person is. And we look at the number of hours in a week. This person is covering a limited number of hours per week.
You're right, David.
That's what I was wondering, is how many-
48 hours, 48 weeks a year, if there's vacation, there's.
I'm not talking
10
about his
holidays.
pay. I'm
no,
talking
no,
of
I understand.
time when he's covering this
Oh, no.
community.
40
I agree with
hours,
you
5 days a
100%.
week.
Not only is it not 40 hours a week, but 4 of those weeks are vacation weeks.
Yep.
I
3
understand.
weeks are holiday days. And, you know,
And
What I'm
then-
saying is,
yeah, I
the
agree with you.
majority of time will still be covered by Troop D.
Oh, I agree with you
And
100%.
I have a few questions on this one.
Go ahead.
Now, I've read something online, looking in previous, I think it was like 2018 or something. Where But the resident state troopers were a 2-year contract. Is that still the case or no?
I don't have that information when we met with Lieutenant Hagland, that
Okay.
conversation.
So that
didn't
was,
Get to that point.
that was just one thing I'd like to know. And then the other thing was that if the troop calls them out for overtime, I believe we were on the hook for that overtime also. That was the other thing I read.
That isn't to my knowledge, based on my meeting, but we can certainly find
Okay,
out.
so those are just the two things that
From what I understood from Lieutenant Hagland when we met with him, that's all, because you look at, it's $240,000.
Hmm.
That's not just street crime. That covers the vehicle, it covers the gas, it covers the uniform, it covers the firearms, it covers the overtime. And that was mentioned during the meeting with Lieutenant, it's a flat fee. It fluctuates based on the step level of the officer and the experience of the officer. Additionally, we could be looking at a 3 to 4 month time period to find a candidate. So it might not, even if the budget is approved July 1 and we move forward, it might be a 3 to 4 month wait before we actually institute having an officer.
When you say, we find a candidate, you mean one is assigned to us by the state of Connecticut?
Correct,
Yeah.
by the troop.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, what was in terms of the number of hours? Is it a certain number of hours per day and a certain number of days per week?
They work on an 8-day schedule,
Eight
5
days?
day, they work 5 days out of an 8-day rotation.
Oh,
An expert here.
Right.
Am I correct, Larry?
A lot different. We wouldn't get, when I was on, you didn't get paid overtime.
Yeah.
You just had to, be there for 3 days and go home. But it's, I'm all for it. And for a number of reasons. Right now, I don't know about anybody else in here, but where I live, nobody cares. They go up and down that road, the kids on their bikes. We had an accident with someone and 3 of us had to go anyway, let's just go back to with that guy. We took care of it, but anyway, I'm all for it for one big reason. When I was a cop, I was a detective, and I was with the organized crime unit. I was not always at home because of different places that I had to go, whether it would be Connecticut or Massachusetts, etc. Anyway. I had my house broken into when I was away and my wife was home with the kids. Okay, and thank you for someone who was here. Right, the trooper that was here in town. And we caught him in one day. Mainly because a neighbor saw, a person lived next door. Saw a car that different plates and everything, he just kind of turned it down. The other one is when we used to run a lot, the family. And it was a Sunday morning. And she says, I'm gonna go run. I said, well, if you can wait till I come back from church. Anyway. She was accosted coming up this road. Someone saw her because she made the same things every day, hid in the woods and grabbed her with a knife. And it was in the morning. And she fought him and was able to get away from him, but he started chasing her with the knife. And luckily, someone going to church saw her and picked him up, brought her home. I had somebody call the barracks, and of course, the trooper here came up with a bunch of others, but I went down there and the guy that picked her up said, there he is, he was walking on the tracks. Of course, I got out and I forgot I didn't have my shoes on. And it was hurting, and I didn't know that my son had snuck in the back door. So he actually, he tackled him. So it isn't, it isn't just people who are not cops. It can happen to anybody. But we were able to get them, and the police were there within a few minutes. And And what I see and what I hear from people, whether they call or don't call, it, we would have somebody here for quite a few days per week. So he's closer than anybody else. If someone says, well, suppose he's there and they call him because there's something going on. Okay, he goes there. But he's not gonna stay there. Okay, the thing is, they get somebody there, he comes back. Because things happen and you're right there, but just you're in this town. But you're not that far of what's going on, so you would go there automatically. So when they say, suppose he has to go over there, who's gonna pay this, who's gonna pay that, I don't think there's a problem there. But I think we need that again. I know that they closed it up for different reasons. Some time back. But it's different now. So I'm all for it. Of course, we're gonna have to look at people who are out there, but hey, I gotta pay the taxes too. And there's a few cops in here that live in this town still. So. That's it.
So then that means 5 days of coverage for every 8 days.
I think Mr. Johnson knows
Got it.
the schedule.
They work an 8-day cycle.
8-day cycle, which is interesting, but it is what it is. I guess if it's possible to clarify from the state so that we know exactly what the service would be. And it probably
Well,
is.
if you
fine.
work an 8-day cycle, it's not, I don't know with a resident trooper, whether it would be fixed, say, Monday through Friday or
Right.
Wednesday through Sunday or
Right.
what. But the regular trooper is working an 8-day cycle.
So that'd be helpful if we can.
Yeah.
At least get whatever the fine print is that they offer these days.
Got it. I will get that.
Thank you. I'm noticing that it's 8:45, and the only reason I'm noticing that is because we have an item on our agenda under new business called, and so I'm not going there yet. I'm just saying, we do have an item called new business electrical work Riverside Park, not to exceed $9,700. So if we try to wrap up the meeting by 9, we would need to depart from the budget workshop prior to 9.
It's
in order
because
to
there's
catch this up.
false to zero when there's no number in the previous budget.
Could I ask one question about the crime rate for
Sure,
before we
yep,
move
go for it.
before we move to that?
Go for it, go for it. We
wonder
can,
if
we
we-
can come back to this item, we can pick up this item at the next budget workshop, so go ahead.
It'll be a second.
I don't know, this is fine.
We used to get a report from Troop D about incidents.
We still do.
I wonder if we could compare what's happened over the years.
Yes,
I've
'Cause it-
compared over the last 3 years. The
Oh, okay.
incidence has stayed pretty much the same.
Okay, I was just
over
curious as to
3
whether-
years.
Okay.
is that as far back as it goes?
Well, I could.
No, we were getting it for a long time.
I think,
I could check with Troop D and see if they could get me an actual report and a trending.
Well, we used to get them every month. I assume they're on
If that
file
was
somewhere.
still- Yeah, it's been a file, hard copy file. I could pull them out.
Yeah,
Just
and-
Provide a sample, let's say, from each year for the last.
Well,
5 years.
I was thinking more of adding up the years and seeing what the real number is, but if it's too much, it's too much.
It's not too much. It's just, I just have to pull them out.
I was always a little frustrated by seeing that sort of isolated without comparison to something.
Right.
meaning those numbers are here in the town hall?
Yep.
Correct.
Got it.
What,
It would be.
my
it may be interesting.
reaction to resident trooper is giving additional support to the school security team, number one. Because we did have a group that were really pushing hard for armed security at the school. So that gives some oversight and some additional support to the school, because Lord knows they need it. Secondly, if there's a call that I get the most, it's not potholes, it's stop people from speeding on my road. Stop people from driving on Buckley Hill Road because there's truck drivers, when there's signs that say no through trucks. Over a certain weight, because those bridges are in poor condition.
I met a trailer
So-
park this week.
Yeah, so those are the calls I get more than come and fix my road. So, so this is in response to those people who have specifically stated that they want a resident trooper here in town again. But I'm happy to try to gather up as much facts as I can for this board.
If a resident state trooper issues a ticket for either speeding or for driving on a road that the vehicle is not authorized to drive on, who gets the revenue for the ticket?
State.
See, whereas I'm thinking if the town gets it, then that trooper helps to pay for himself,
Yep.
which makes the cost more attractive to me.
I wouldn't.
But if the state,
I was gonna ask it.
I'm serious, but if the state keeps it, well, then, okay, well,
Well, the
that's,
state-
then that's
but if it makes
unfortunate.
our roads a little bit safer.
Oh, of course, and I understand
no
that
price
over
tag.
time when inappropriate vehicles drive over the bridges that they shouldn't be driving over, and just the roads in general, it beats up the roads, and so then we have to deal with repairing the roads and the bridges sooner than we would. It's just, it's too
Are you
bad that,
saying that we should get some of their money?
I'm saying
some
it's
of
too
them-
bad that if we pay for a resident state trooper to cover this town, basically what we're doing is we're renting a police officer. That's what we're doing. We're renting a police officer. And so if that police officer that we're renting on our time issues a ticket because they're here as a result of us paying for them to be here,
We get,
and they're watching the road and they give a ticket to a truck that's driving inappropriately, which was going on a lot until the resident state trooper came along. Fair enough, if it goes to the state, it goes to the state, but I would just say that's unfortunate because they're there giving a ticket to the truck because we paid them to be a resident state trooper.
And ask them and directed them to be there.
Yeah, and directed them to go out there and it is what it is, you know.
I guess
It's
that's a
it's
matter
unfortunate.
of our state legislature.
Yeah, it is what it is.
If you did
I like your
that,
thinking.
I'd
you
hate to get a
did,
ticket saying.
if
the
you
guy's
did
trying to
that,
make it-
you'd be
make it
doing
not-
that in every town. Because no matter where that cop is, that's where it starts, right? He may not be in that town all the time, but he stopped him. So if you're gonna get some money or you're looking for some money, that town's gonna say, hey, we're gonna get the money. I wouldn't wanna go that way. I don't think they do it anyway, but.
I'm still gonna say it's unfortunate that because especially when we're looking at this, that we're looking at the whole thing. Any opportunity to alleviate the cost of something. I'd be willing to look at it, but we don't get a chance to look at that. It doesn't go that, it goes somebody else. So it is 8:52. And we did have one other item on our agenda. So right now, at the moment, we are in budget workshop. Is everyone okay with, we can always come back to public safety, if people want to come back to public safety when we begin the next meeting.
Yes.
If it's okay with everyone, we would exit budget workshop and we would go into new business.
I have one question.
Before we
One
exit?
request of Bill
Yep,
for our next
We're
meeting.
still in budget workshop, so go ahead.
Bill? How much of a lift is it for you to sum total the impact of the budget in total for the 3% wage increases? I don't need it right now, but can you sort by that and come in and say? Because back to our initial discussion around.
So these numbers are approximate, but I did run the
Oh,
numbers.
you have it? Thank you.
At 2.25%. It's roughly about $53,000 in raises. This is across the board. This is town side.
That's at 2.25.
Yes.
that's non-union or that is?
That's everyone.
That's everybody. Okay.
That's at 2 point.
When I ran this, just so you guys know, when I ran this analysis, I went and I grabbed it.
0.5 was 50 grand.
2.25.
2.25 is 50.
Okay, I got it.
53.
Sorry.
53, you said?
Yes. If you go to 3%, which we're at right now in the budget, round numbers $71,000. So it's about a $20,000 increase.
And to be clear on this, if someone had a change in wage. Like the assessor, for example, that's
Yeah.
not covered in this. That
Right.
full 7.5 is separate.
Yes,
Or did you take the 3 out of that and just leave the 4.5 separate?
it's separate.
Okay,
And there was one other that was different too.
there's probably more. We haven't gotten to.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I was surprised that I expected it to, when I ran this analysis, I expected it to be higher.
it's great anticipation. Thanks for having that. number.
Everybody okay with exiting budget workshop?
Need a motion?
We don't need a motion. I just want to make sure before we, because if we exit it and we come back, then we do need a motion to go back. Just want to make sure everybody's okay with exiting
I'm ready.
budget workshop.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll now move into new business. New business, section A, electrical work at Riverside Park not to exceed $9,700. Now, this update was made to the agenda close to when we were about to meet. I noticed at least the timestamp of when it was issued to the members of the Board of Finance was March 8th at 1:25 PM. It was probably updated to the town website prior to that. The town clerk and the town website prior to that, because usually Dottie sends us the agenda after she does submits it. But I'm just thinking today is March 9th. And this change was made on March 8th, and it would have been probably made prior to 1:25 PM, but certainly after midnight on March 8th. So I just wonder, just for safety's sake, if we take action on this line item because it was added to the agenda previous, after the 48-hour, because usually we do, with these hybrid meetings, we get 48 hours to submit the agenda. If a change was made after that 48-hour deadline, does that mean that it's still good because the original agenda was submitted, or does that mean this item, if we take action on it, we took action on something that should have been older than 48 hours, but it was not?
Part of it might be whether this is a regular meeting or a special meeting. I think this is a regular meeting because we announced this ahead of time. We provided that information to the Secretary of State or whatever is required.
That's correct.
That makes it a regular meeting. Regular meeting, you can add things to the agenda.
24 hours prior.
I think you can add things to the agenda at the
You
meeting.
could theoretically
Or
add
regular
at the
meeting.
meeting.
With a vote.
But it's an-
membership.
Yeah, with
I'll be
2/3,
honest,
yes,
not-
you could theoretically add something to the
So
agenda.
it's, I believe it's doable and legal.
But
Go ahead.
But as we've always agreed to, if there's an expense, we've always wanted it to be on the agenda 24 hours in advance. So the public could have a voice on it. But of course, this is an
This is
emergency
more
thing
than-
that happened too, so
This is more than 24.
yes, I'm
Uh,
just saying, this is also an emergency thing that was already done.
Although
Yes.
I'm actually looking at the top of the agenda, it says revised on 3/7.
So we're
Revised on
good.
3/7.
Oh,
So
so-
that means,
We've got 48 hours.
so that means it was revised
Yeah.
the day before that it was sent out to us by email? Okay, then that means we would be covered on the 48
Yeah.
hours.
That's correct.
I was just going by the timestamp of the email, but now I see 3/7. I should have just, duh, put it at the top of the agenda.
Even on.
So, okay.
So good.
So I think we're good.
All right, so then the name of this item is electrical work at Riverside Park not to exceed $9,700. Is there someone who can speak to this?
I certainly can. Probably, so the end of February, Joe, our Public Works Director, and myself were in discussion with the Recreation Department, who noted that the lighting around Riverside Park, the ball fields, didn't seem to be shining on the fields. Upon inspection, Joe said, yeah, something doesn't look right with those lights. We called on Trudeau Electric, who didn't have a tall enough lift, but could evaluate somewhat the situation and said, you have an imminent problem. So basically on each post, there's approximately 4 to 6 lights. There were 4 to 6 lights at approximately 50 pounds per light that were in danger of basically falling off of the post. I did send to somebody some photos.
Yeah,
I have
received
pictures
them.
tonight if you wanted to see them.
I saw them.
So upon renting the lift and getting up there, it was confirmed that at any moment in time, those lights really could have come crashing down. So Joe and I discussed it and said there really is, we just have to get them down. Trudeau worked, he changed his schedule, fit us in, rented the lift. He had to confirm the lift on that Friday, I think it was. Had it there by Tuesday, went up during the snowstorm. And took those lights down. That's how imminent he saw them as a danger, so. So we are without lights. We are currently trying to work to get an idea of what those lights will cost to replace.
Will that be in the new budget?
Nope.
Maybe, I don't know. They use the field about 60 times a year according to the Recreation Department. Personally, I question the validity of needing lights at that field, but I don't know.
So does that mean the 9,700 is just to pay for the
That would
Trudeau
be-
electric work that was already
The
done?
lift itself was 3,000, over 3,000.
Take down cost.
39.
And it's done.
The replacement cost at this point, we have a projected price. We're
37.
getting prices from several vendors. Projected at 70,000. That's through an Eversource program that's a fixed controlled cost rate, sort of like the state that was.
Okay.
So,
So this is already spent.
This is,
Yes.
yes,
not this, yeah, this
this
is,
is what's
spent.
already been
Okay.
done.
This-
We don't need to
this-
pay for what's already been done.
This is the only part that's been done.
Just need to pay the bill.
Motion before discussion.
So do you, somebody want to?
I make a motion that we, oh.
You have a question?
I,
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Rob.
no,
This was brought up when I was remote. We talk about topics before the motion.
Mhm.
Is that the path moving forward?
I think we can discuss anything.
So here's the thing, I suspect there's a difference between asking questions and finding out more about something, just so that you know what it is.
Mhm.
And then once people have gathered the information and then they're ready to hash it out and do the sort of back and forth, that's discussing the item.
Okay.
At least that's the way I interpret that.
It's not specific here because this one's really clear and I'm sorry to cut. I'm
No,
sorry
no,
to
no, you're all
interrupt.
fine, Bob.
I just want to make sure that at least when we get to a point where a motion's made. Folks that want to have clarity have gotten clarity because that's the way we've
That's
always
it.
operated. Someone
That's it.
called out that, oh. you
Yeah,
can't-"
no, I know.
I want to just be clear on what's actually in front of us. And if there's still questions in my mind, I have a hard time weighing in if it's not clear. So.
I agree. I think.
I
there's a
agree
difference-
also.
I think there's a difference between asking questions and learning about something.
Right.
And then once you've asked all the questions and you've learned what you need to learn, you formulated in your mind what your position is. And then as the board, you deliberate, that's, I feel like those are two separate concepts.
I agree, and I guess notwithstanding that, like, is there anybody can make a motion anytime they want?
Yeah,
Because that's happened too, where someone just jumped on a line item and said, I want.
With the permission of the chair.
yes.
Okay.
I guess technically they have to be recognized by the chair, but
Right.
we tend to roll pretty casual on this board.
Okay. I'm in alignment with that.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, Rob.
No,
That
no,
being said,
Well, I cut you off.
You were, no, you're absolutely fine.
I think you just wanted to
Point of order.
thought in before, because once you put the motion on the floor, then I have to say, oh, does somebody have a second? So.
Yeah,
good
and then
point. You
we
just wanna
can
say,
still have
well,
discuss,
before
we
you
can
do
still
that-
have more discussion.
So
So-
can we just go, yeah. So that
So-
being said, does somebody want to make a motion to approve electrical work at Riverside Park not to exceed $9,700?
Yes,
Okay.
I'll make the motion out of the contingency.
I'll
There you go.
second that.
Okay, and so we got Rob Mann is the motion, Rob Words is the second, and you clarify that the $9,700 would come from contingency.
Yes,
And are you okay with that for your
That's
second?
correct, yes.
All right. Do we get that motion okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
and then
So
I have
now
some
it's-
comments.
now, I was gonna
So-
say, now it's any discussion on this?
Yes, and I don't want, this isn't even really a discussion on the item as much as it's just a suggestion, and I don't want it to be taken wrong either, because I understand this was something that had to be done. My concern is like we talk about leveraging town resources and stuff. I know we had a tree truck and I understood that was only 60 feet by asking around, so it wasn't enough, but the ladder truck for the fire department might have came in handy to do this. And we probably, it was just, I feel it was a significant amount of money to do this. You know, and it had to be done. I'm not denying any of that. But I think that we could have probably had an electrician shut the thing off and probably use the ladder truck at the fire department with possibly some volunteers, and the fire department would have loved the donation for, $7,000 or whatever it is too. So just for future options, I'm just bringing it out there that it is an option. And this was also, I know an electrical company that did some work for the town. This was brought to the town's attention like 2 years ago. So they knew it was like cracked, and not to you, not to you, but it was mentioned before to the town at some point. And the other thing is, I don't know if they still do the wooden lights like those were. These might end up being metal poles, and you said possibly $70-something thousand to Eversource. It might be more in the line of $150,000 for the new metal poles, and it's really a significant cost
And
to
I'm
it.
personally not like, oh, let's go out and do that right
No,
now.
no, I was,
So I just want to make sure that's clear.
and I didn't want to, I don't,
The facts.
I didn't want my comments to be taken wrong either. But it's just that we have resources that sometimes, it's an emergency, I understand. But we have options like that. So if something happens later,
At one point, that has happened, but Joe the mechanic was not putting his guys up
Yeah,
on a ladder.
yeah, but I was talking, I was referring to the ladder truck, that goes up 100 feet.
No, I know what you're
Okay.
saying. That had been done in the past. Joe made the decision not to do that,
Yeah,
to hire a professional and just get it done.
and then the other part of it is, we rented an aerial lift to take down lights. Where
Right.
unfortunately couldn't screw a new piece of wood up there and, remounted the lights in a more secure fashion and wired them up again, because now we're gonna pay. Obviously, we know we're gonna pay to replace them, or we're gonna pay to get a lift again, So just, that's all. Thank you. I didn't want to,
Completely see where you're coming from.
thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Because actually, this has come up in a couple of other conversations. People say the poles, but
Yeah.
my understanding is we're talking about, I guess, the brackets that the
Mhm.
lights hang off.
Yeah, that's
of.
what there was.
The actual telephone poles are still sound.
Right,
Mhm.
right,
Yes.
but there were poles that the lights were attached to that were.
But what I was saying is now when they do new lights like that, like stadium lights or baseball field, they don't usually mount them on a wooden pole anymore.
Yeah.
The
I can
the
see
whole procedures changed. for
Although I
them.
guess they made it 30, Ken said 30,
Yeah.
35
30 to
years,
35
which is
years.
amazing, given when you look at the pictures.
Mhm.
If I could. $70,000 seems off the charts to me, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. I
Yeah.
appreciate you.
We haven't gotten anything yet.
I'd like to see us, put some effort into getting those lights back up. And the reason I say that is it's 60 times. Those are kids in town that are deprived of that. And we think about our mill rate, we think about our taxes. This is our downtown community. We think about making choices. It feels like for the right reason, it's safety, but now we've taken something away that, I think is important to at least consider putting back up, and hopefully it's a lot less money. It can go on the same poles, and instead of 50 pounds, they're 5-pound
Right.
LED lights.
Yes.
So I'd like to see us pursue that, and if it needs to be in this year's budget or next year's budget, that touches a lot of people in town.
The Eversource, I will say the Eversource program that we've looked at now, we're looking at several vendors,
Yeah.
but the Eversource program, hate to say it, but they do have a 0% financing for municipalities for up to 5 years. So I'm just throwing that out there, but we're waiting for all the facts before we can really conclude.
I'd love to chat with you offline. I've been down both paths, private and Eversource.
Okay.
0%'s great, but if the price is 5 times more.
You have some independent
Exactly.
companies bidding on it too, so.
Super. That's great. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this motion? Go ahead.
Might ask, we've used contingency, you're suggesting contingency, and I agree with you, but we've used it in the past. Do we have
We do.
much left? Oh, thank you. Yeah, okay.
We're actually, I want to say we have about 13 or 14,000 left in this year's, because we only used 15.
Mhm.
I think it was 35,000.
35 or 37.
37,000, 75, I think.
And we used what, 12 or something?
Yeah, we've only used it once.
Like
Right.
a couple meetings ago.
So our 2023 budget is 37.5.
To have the-
That's what yeah. We've only used it once, and I think that was recently, a couple of meetings ago.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, for the stewardship permit. It was almost 15.
Any other discussion on this motion? Any other discussion? We'll go around the table and we'll start down here. Dave, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob, man?
Yes,
Yes.
Larry? Steve?
Yes.
Rob George?
Yes.
I vote yes, this one carries 6-0. So then does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
So.
Second.
Okay, so Rob George has the motion and Dave has the second. All in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstained? This one carries 6-0. It's 9:08. And we'll see everybody next week. Thank you.